Hafade, my fellow Guamanians and my fellow Americans. I am Jason Salas, and on behalf of all of us at KUM, we are pleased, privileged, and honored to be able to participate this morning with our friends at the Rotary Club of Northern Guam in this morning's 20th anniversary of 9/11, September 11, 2001, what many people believe the darkest day in American history. And as such, many of Guamanians and many members of the Rotary Club who have tirelessly worked to set up a very fitting, a very distinguished ceremony up in Upper Tumon at Puntan Dos Amantes, Two Lovers Point, the very time-honored place. It means so much to us as Chamorros and Guamanians, and we will be bringing you all of the events of this morning's ceremony. Joining me right now, live on Zoom and on Facebook Live, my good friend Hermie Keha from the Rotary Club. Hermie, good morning and hafa day to you, sir.
Good morning, Jason. Hafa day, and again, thank you so much for live streaming our annual event. And God has blessed us with a beautiful day. He's looked kindly upon us, and it looks like the showers may hold off, and we hope that it holds off until after the event.
No, absolutely agree. Can you give me a little bit of a pan around there, because Two Lovers Point, it's such a beautiful place, and so many of us have been there so many hundreds of times. But yes, absolutely gorgeous day today. And as we as Americans, we gather together and we honor and we remember the sacrifice, the events that happened on 9/11 20 years ago today. It's now been 2 decades since that happened, but certainly the pride we have as Americans, as Guamanians, as United States territory and everything, none of that has wavered. And as Hermie is panning around right there, once again, you're joining us live at Puntan Dos Amantes. There is the 9/11 memorial, which was erected. We're going to bring you some interviews we've had from some of the Rotarians and some of the members who were instrumental in actually getting this memorial up. That is now stood for Hermie. That the memorial has stood for more than a decade now, correct?
That's correct. That's correct. I believe it's since 2004 it was erected, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, for a very
14
long
years
time.
actually.
And it's actually been added to over the years, because the core foundation of it, it's very, very symbolic, and there is a laddie stone there symbolizing the Chamorro construct of strength and of family and of unity. And of course, there, as Hermie shot, you see 2 replicas of the Twin Towers. Today's program, Hermie, as I understand it, precisely at 8:46, we will be tolling the bells because that was the time in New York City when the first plane hit the World Trade Center.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, Hermie, can you kind of tell me, of course, the 9/11 ceremonies, I've been fortunate enough to cover many of them over the years here at KUM, but there's always a strong showing from our friends in the military, obviously, government officials of the highest level, a lot of leadership there, a lot of your members in the Rotary Club, but also, and to no small degree, firefighters and policemen who lost so many of their brothers in arms, many of whom they never met. But for police and firemen and civil servants, this is always a very, very emotional ceremony.
That's true. That is true. And of course, this is an event that we hold for the community, and in a special way, we invite all the first responders, and we have them represented here. So from the police department to the fire department, and we have both the public and the federal side, right? So we've got a lot of special dignitaries here from including the U.S. Coast Guard, the Airline Pilots Association, the United Airlines, Naval Base Fire Department. We've got the FBI, and of course, all branches of the military. So, yeah, this is a really special community event. It's not just an event for Rotary, but this is a community event where we come together, to commemorate what happened 20 years ago, and most importantly, to remember all those who lost their lives, and at the same time, praying for peace. So if you're hearing all the sound, you're probably seeing all the bikers are coming in right now, Jason.
Yeah. And that would be the unmistakable roar of a Harley Davidson engine, because the Guam Hogs actually had a motorcade, and I'm assuming they started out at the VFW, which is a place where they very frequent. So many of the Guam Hogs Motorcycle Club served in. They have military service under their belt, and they have always been rooted in community service and defending Guam, as you see the Guam Hogs roll in now. Also, if you're wondering, if you're out on the road and you're watching us right now, if you go through Dedido and you see a large number of fire engines moving out, as you can see one pulling into Puntan Dos Amantes in Upper Tuman right now, that fire truck began, and I believe, and you can see there a life support engine rolling in as well, one of the ambulances, because the firefighters played such a big part, of course, in the recovery effort and disaster recovery in 9/11 20 years ago. But the Guam Fire Department actually had a motorcade during which they turned on their lights and their sirens, and they actually started out at the Estumbo fire station, from what I understand, and then they made their way to Two Lovers Point, just a few miles away. So if you're on the road and you're wondering what that was all about, we are honoring 9/11 right now. Hermie, great camera work by you, I may say. And I've talked to many firefighters and many policemen over the years about what 9/11 means to them, and they say, this isn't a detail that they have to do, obviously, and this isn't some assignment that they have to do. They feel that this is their responsibility to honor their brothers in arms who they lost 2 decades ago. This is it's a true honor for them to be able to do something and sound their horns and sound their sirens. So we're expected to see some of the members of GFD leadership, as well as the Guam Police Department. We're expecting them momentarily. You can see there in Hermie's shot. Let me bring that up for you guys. I saw some members of the Sea and Rescue Unit. You see the jet skis there. At least one big fire truck. There was also an ambulance coming through there. So I know we should be expecting the fire chief.
So our governor, Lou Leon Guerrero, was present. So that's good that she's made it for this event.
Okay, so she has arrived now. Yeah.
She has arrived. Yep. And I'm sorry I couldn't hear if you were asking me any question. I couldn't hear, obviously, with that roar, with all the bikers and of course the fire engine roaring. So yeah, we're gonna be starting soon. So it is right now it is 8:41. So our President Ed is right there. He's right there by the podium. So President Ed Cruz is our current president for Rotary year. Our Rotary year always begins July 1st and ends the following year 30th. So he's gonna be leading this event today. So we're really blessed again to be able to hold this event.
Mm. Yeah, Hermie, I also saw, I believe it was, excuse me. I also saw some members. I believe it was was it the Admiral from the Navy that I saw off there in the horizon? Okay.
That's right. Well, let me just turn this around so you can just see all the various dignitaries that are here. We even have Chief Justice Philip Carbolito here. and the Lieutenant Governor is also present, right? So
So if
just
you
to
were
give
just
you an
joining us,
idea,
you are
just to
looking
give you an
live
idea,
at Two Lovers Point. As my good friend
yeah,
Hermie Keha with the Rotary Club of Northern Guam is providing the camera work as we will begin what is undoubtedly going to be a very, very emotional and solemn tolling of the bells at exactly 8:46. That was the precise time when the first plane hit the World Trade Center 20 years ago on September 11th, 2001 in New York City. And we as Guamanians, as Americans,
yeah,
our
okay,
duty as a U.S. territory is to never forget.
that is true. So some of the various dignitaries are present. Will be Lieutenant Commander Albert Blaisdell from the U.S. Coast Guard. We also have a survivor, Mr. Eugene Berdalio. Of course, the Most Reverend Michael Burns, the Archbishop for the Archdiocese of Agana. And I did mention the Honorable Philip Garbalito, Chief Justice. We also have a representative from TSA, Mr. Jorge Guerrero. We do have Colonel Kenneth Hendon from the 36th Mission Support Group, Anderson Air Force Base. We also have representing the United Airlines, the Guam-based flight attendant, Miss Benita Cruci. We also have Chief Gifton Lawrence. He's the installation fire chief for Naval Base Guam. We also have Captain Michael Luckett, the commanding officer for Naval Base Guam. We also have Chief James Scribner from the Joint Marianas. He's the regional special operations chief. We have the fire chief from the Guam Fire Department, Chief Daniel Stone. From the FBI Guam Resident Agency, Mr. Joseph Strands. And of course, I did mention the Honorable Joshua Tenorio, our Lieutenant Governor. Also present is the Speaker for the Guam Legislature, the Honorable Therese Terlahi. And finally, we have the Fire Chief from the Anderson Air Force Base, Chief Stanley Torres. So those are all our dignitaries, and because of the executive order and the protocol requirements, we've had to limit the guests and Rotarians to 25. So you can see it's been cordoned off. They're all under the canopy. Okay. I'm gonna break away because we're gonna do the tolling of the bells. Okay.
Okay. Thanks so much, Hermie, for your insight, for your perspective. As we are now about 60 seconds away from the tolling of the bells, as Hermie just said. So he's positioning his camera as if you've been up to Two Lovers Point, as there is Hermie himself, the former president of the Rotary Club of Northern Guam. So he's taking his position off there in the distance. There is that bell tower where the bell will be tolled to commemorate the start of this morning's very, very significant, very emotional ceremony. You're looking live at Two Lovers Point on Upper Tuman, Puntan Dos Amantes, a place that has enormous cultural significance for all of us Guamanians. And now it is also the home to the 9/11 memorial. So in just a few moments, this morning's ceremony will begin. We welcome all of you who are joining us worldwide right now on Facebook. Sherry Dowderman in comments is saying it should be 8:46 to be exact. That is correct, Sherry. So we're just a few moments away. And if you do have comments and you would like to remember someone, share some of your memories of 9/11, we please encourage and invite you to do so. Thank you for everybody watching online.
Rotarians, family, friends, distinguished guests, survivors, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to our 9/11 wreath laying ceremony here at the Rotary Club of Northern Guam Peace Memorial. I am Rotarian Joe Rios, and it is my great honor and distinct privilege to be your master of ceremonies. We are gathered here in commemoration of Patriot Day and in observance of National Day of Service and Remembrance. We are here to honor the individuals who survived, and as Americans, pay tribute to those who lost their lives on September 11, 2001, 20 years ago. But most importantly, we are here to unite in peace. At 8:46 this morning, the love bell here at Two Lovers Point were told by former two-time club president Hermie Keha. Thank you to the motorcycle community of Guam who escorted the Guam Fire Department first responder vehicles during the parade of lights as we opened up our ceremony when they departed the Hill Fire Station and drove up here to the Peace Memorial site. There are a few who have joined us today, and at this time, I would like to recognize our honored guests who have taken the time to participate in the face of a pandemic at this important event. Everyone, please welcome the Honorable Lourdes A. Leon Guerrero, Governor of Guam. The Honorable Joshua Tenorio, Lieutenant Governor of Guam. The Honorable Therese Tarahi, Speaker of the 36th Guam Legislature. The Honorable Philip Carbolito, Chief Justice, Supreme Court of Guam. Mr. Roberto Fracassini, Honorary Consul, Consulate of Italy. Rear Admiral Benjamin Nicholson, Commander, Joint Region Marianas. Captain Michael Luckett, Commanding Officer, Naval Base Guam. Colonel Kenneth Herndon, Commander, 3rd Mission Support Group, 36th Wing, Anderson Air Force Base, Guam. Albert Blaisdell, Lieutenant Commander, U.S. Coast Guard Sector, Guam. Chief James Scribner, Regional Special Operations Chief, Joint Region Marianas Fire Department. Chief Gifton Lawrence Jr., Installation Fire Chief, Naval Base Guam Fire Department. Chief Stanley Torres, Fire Chief, Anderson Air Force Base Fire Department. Most Reverend Michael Burns, Archbishop of Agana, Archdiocese of Agana. Chief Dan Stone, Fire Chief, Guam Fire Department. Representing Chief of Police Stephen Ignacio, Sergeant Elizabeth Fickinger. We have representatives from the federal and local law enforcement agencies. Welcome. Welcome a survivor of the Twin Towers, Mr. Eugene Bob Bordalio. Welcome Captain Don Clark, Chairman of the Airline Pilots Association. Ms. Benita, Guam-based flight attendant, United Airlines. Mr. Edward Cruz, Mr. Hermie Keha, Double Pass President, Rotary Club of Northern Guam. Joey Lopez, former club president, Rotary Club of Northern Guam. former Assistant District Governor Wayne Santos. Thank you everyone for being present here this morning. Please remain standing. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Abigail Rivera to sing our anthems.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, and bright stars through the perilous fight. For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets rattling among bursting came through the night. That our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner wave for the land of the free and the home of praise. Oh, it's a Vita nota, antay matunaya dito. Haray honra, haray gloria, avivay sa sintara. Haray honra, haray gloria, avivay sa sintara. Aradita, Zangirilla, Kontay pilido na pansapuhan, Sus protegis Guam. Kontay pilido na pansapuhan, Sus protegis oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grace, for purple mountain majesties above the rooted lake. America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Thank you, Abby, for singing beautifully a cappella. The Most Reverend Michael Burns, Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Yangon, will provide a prayer. Years ago, September 10th, our nation was rallying in its self-sufficiency and its security. As we know, it changed immediately the very next day. But you fast forward 20 years. 2021, or in 2001, there were 3,000 people who died. Today, here in Guam, not in Guam, in our nation, 654,000 people have lost their lives. Security and self-sufficiency doesn't work anymore. We need something different. This case is going to be prayer. We hear from the prophet Isaiah. The Lord is exalted, for he dwells on high. He will fill Zion with justice and righteousness, and he will be the stability of your times. Abundance of salvation, wisdom, and knowledge. Fear of the Lord is his refuge. This is our plea. Be the stability of our times. Thank you, Archbishop Burns. Everyone, please be seated. Now, may I call upon Ed Cruz, Club President of the Rotary Club of Northern Guam, for his welcoming remarks. understanding and good. Here at home, we have pledged our commitment to promote peace. This peace memorial originally was designed to have a monument symbolizing the Laddie Stone with the rotary wheel and the glove, symbolizing peace on the top of the Laddie Stone. Then the tragedy of 9/11 occurred, and it felt so deep in our hearts that with true humanitarian spirit, the club expressed support to dedicate a monument of the two Twin Towers, standing with a Laddie Stone base signifying the strength of the island. The granite floor symbolizing Pentagon, and the pine tree symbolizing the state of Pennsylvania. To honor those who have perished and to honor those who have survived. 20 years later, survivors have told their stories of life after 9/11 to tell the world they are keeping the legacy alive. Stories told of never giving up, of being resilient, putting the energies together to affect the common good, and now, 2 decades later, some have made peace with it. This peace memorial is a place where we will always remember and never forget, where we can be reminded that peace can heal the world with the understanding and goodwill, and where tragedy overcomes the resistance. As we might out to the ocean, we spread from the sea to shining sea, the spirit of unity. Stand united across the world. Today we pray that God bless the silent voices, the perished and their families, the survivors and their families, and first responders who gave their unending service like Peter again. Let there be peace and healing in our island and in the world. We good Father, we thank you. Thank you, President Ed, for your welcoming remarks. At this time, please welcome the Honorable Lourdes A. Leon Guerrero, Governor of Guam, for her distinguished guest remarks.
President Ed Cruz, thank you for your Rotarian and for the Rotary Club vision in establishing this peace memorial. And of course, in providing peace, harmony to our people. I appreciate that. Honored guests, distinguished guests, family, and victims, I am very honored to have this opportunity to share a few thoughts and remarks with you. 20 years ago, my brother Tony, who's now deceased, called me on the phone at night, frantic. Turn on your TV. And I did. I first thought I was watching a Godzilla movie. That's how it looked like. The Twin Towers were burned. As the tragedy unfolded, we saw that 3,000 people died, to include frontliners. Our brave and courageous frontliners came to the rescue, and their lives died to save other people's lives. This tragedy is what makes us, I feel, a much more sensitive community, because Guam, our people have experienced the atrocities of war. We have lived the atrocities of war. And I think as a result of that, we are a much more resilient people. We are kinder. We comfort each other. We care for each other. This cannot be more demonstrated than in this pandemic area. We are abiding by directives and CDC guidelines because we care about ourselves. But we just don't care about ourselves. We care about our neighbors. We care about our friends. We care about our people. And so we have a very cooperative community collective. Us struggle through tragedies and atrocities. I feel because of that, we are kinder. Because of that, we love harder. And because of that, we comfort more. We are a community that's very patriotic, and we are strong in our unity to struggle through and beat whatever comes to our challenge. I am especially appreciative for our frontliners because they're the ones that are there right away. We see this in the pandemic. We saw this at the tragic event 20 years ago. So 20 years ago, we as a nation fought terrorism. 20 years now later, we are gone from Afghan, but I feel we still have the threats of terrorism in our nation and in our country. We have threats of terrorism, not just from foreign people, but from enemies that we cannot see. And so what do we do about it? Yes, Archbishop, we pray. And we pray a lot. But we also have to make sure that we do things within our human powers to control whatever enemies we have out there. We are a peaceful community, and we are a loving community. We are a patriotic community, and we are a community that wants to struggle together and fight whatever enemies we see or not see. So on behalf of the people of Guam, Ed, I want to say we honor and respect the victims of the tragic event 20 years ago. We honor, respect, and acknowledge all of our fallen brothers and sisters for in the pursuit of freedom, peace, and harmony. And this monument continues to remind us. We will never forget. We will never forget. We will always remember our fallen brothers and sisters as we live with peace, harmony, and freedom in our island.
Thank you, Governor. It is our pleasure to welcome Rear Admiral Nicholson, Commander, Joint Legion Marianas, for his distinguished guest remarks.
Thank you, Rotary Club President. Thank you, Rotary Club members. Distinguished guests, thank you for having me here today to make some remarks. On this day, 20 years ago, our nation was attacked. Many of us will never forget that day. we remember exactly where we were and what we were doing when 19 Al-Qaeda terrorists hijacked 4 commercial aircraft, crashed 2 of them into the north and south towers of the World Trade Center, 1 into the Pentagon, and then a final aircraft was brought down by the passengers before it could reach its target, which we believe was the Capitol. From that moment, our lives and our country changed. The United States, along with our allies and partners, went to war. Take a moment to remember where you were on that day, what you were doing. I will certainly never forget where I was on that day. It might be very different than what you experienced. I was only able to read about them. On September 11th, 2001, I was on a ship deployed in the Arabian Gulf. Back then, our TV system would not work when our radar was in operation, and we always kept our radar in operation. I vividly remember a piece of paper in my hand as I read the message describing in words the attack. The description I could not comprehend because the words on the paper could not do it justice. It would be nearly 3 months until I was in a position to see the images because we immediately shifted to a wartime mindset. For those of you here old enough to remember, I'm sure you also had intense memories of the day. Each year we observe the anniversaries of September 11th as Patriot Day. We call to memory the 2,977 fellow Americans who died during the terrorist attacks, and we mourn the families of those who lost their loved ones. We thank the brave first responders who rushed to ground zero and fought through the rubble to save survivors and rescue victims. You are our heroes. For the friends and family of the victims, it was a day of immeasurable loss. For Americans around the country and the world, it was a time of unity in the face of a shared struggle. And for many, it was a call to action. 181,000 Americans enlisted in the active duty ranks, and nearly 73,000 joined the reserves in the year following the attacks. Seeing such a large-scale attack on the American people at an impressionable age was likely the driving factor to join the military for many of the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines that I have served with for the past 20 years. But there are young men and women joining the military now that were not alive in 2001. An entire generation was born after the 9/11 attacks. And I encourage those with direct memories of 9/11 to educate our younger audiences about the devastation of that day. But more importantly, to educate about the resilience and fortitude of the American people. Something we're seeing played out again as we come together to combat the pandemic we're currently fighting through. Today is a day we honor the lives of those lost and the courage and bravery of the responders. Many were first responders that went into action immediately that day. And many more responded over the past 20 years. Today is a day all Americans hold in solemnity. A day we must not forget as we continue to fight against adversaries around the world who threaten our country, our people, and our peace. And sometimes those adversaries are invisible, like we fight today. Today is the day we remember that we are all patriots. God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, Rear Admiral. Thank you, Rear Admiral Nicholson, for your remarks. We will now begin the wreath laying part of our ceremony. Will Club President Ed Cruz come up along with past Assistant Governor Wayne Santos, former Presidents Roberto Fracasini, former Club President Hermie Queja, please proceed to the memorial. A wreath from the Member of Northern Guam and Rotary International is dedicated as a symbol of commitment of peace through service. Act with integrity, serve with love, work for peace. Presenters, please stay around the memorial. So we have all presenters at the memorial all at the same time towards the end. Now, Governor Lou Leon Guerrero, Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio, Rear Admiral Nicholson, and Captain Luckett, please approach the memorial. They lay this peace wreath, symbolizing our unity in peace. May I call up Colonel Herndon, Fire Chief Scribner, Agent Strantz, and Eugene Verdalia. Please approach the memorial. You will each lay a wreath in memory of the citizens, fallen firefighters, and first responders who lost their lives at the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City. May I call up, please, Chief Justice Carbolito, Captain Don Clark, Chief Stanley Torres, and Chief Lawrence. We will lay a wreath in memory of the individuals who were killed in the Pentagon, Washington, D.C., and on board the airliner. May I call up Lieutenant Commander Blaisdell, Guam Fire Chief, and Guam Base Flight Attendant Benita Tusi, and Sergeant Cliffy. Please approach the memorial. Each of you will lay a wreath in memory of the 44 passengers who lost their lives when the United Flight 93 crashed into the forest of Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Thank you, everyone. You may please return to your seats. Former club president of Rotary Club Northern Guam will now play Amazing Grace. Everyone, please stand in a moment of silence for the innocent men and children who lost their lives on an airplane, at the World Trade Center, and in a field near the town of Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and on the streets of New York. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. First responders, fire engines, their sirens. Abigail Rivera will now sing us America the Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of rain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood through sea to shining sea.
Thank you, Abigail. That was so beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our 9/11 ceremony for this morning. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, especially in this time. Before you leave, may we get the honored guests, first responders, firefighters in front of the monument for a group photo. Also, please help yourself and take a gift provided by the Northern Guam Rotarians. Thank you. Donkaluna Situs Masi. Thank you to the staff management of Two Lovers for your support and assistance here today. I want to thank you for, in one way or another, Cowboy Enterprises.
Once again, Hafaday, and good morning to all of you who were bearing witness to this absolutely very, very emotional ceremony. I'm Jason Salas. If you've been with us since the beginning of this live stream, you saw many of Guam's leadership. You can see right there on the shot provided by my buddy Hermie Keha, the former president of the Rotary Club of Northern Guam, Governor Lulian Guerrero to her right, Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio. To her left, right on your screen, that's of course the Honorable F. Philip Carbolito, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Guam. Many members of the military, civil service also in attendance, of course, the Guam Fire Department, the Guam Police Department, members of the airline union, all the lives and various communities. And there are so many thousands of them that were touched by the terrible, terrible tragedies on that fateful day on September 11th, 2001. More than 1,300 lives were lost on that day. And of course, we as Americans, Guam being a US territory, we continue to uphold and never forget the sacrifice that they made as the leadership and several of the dignitaries in attendance today, taking one shot on what has been a very, very historic moment here. And some of the comments again continue to come into our comment stream on the live stream, people sharing their own memories or offering prayer intentions or giving some of the memories where they were, people that they lost, people that were affected both directly and indirectly by the terrorist attacks. Right there, His Excellency Archbishop Michael Burns from the Archdiocese of Agana, who gave a very moving benediction at the beginning of the memorial. We also want to remind you, if you are wondering right now, because I've seen a couple comments, Two Lovers Point, Puntan Dos Amantes, is open for the general public to be able to go and make your own trip up to the 9/11 memorial starting at 10 o'clock. They will take groups of 25 at a time in line with the governor's public health restrictions. So groups of 25 at a time, you can go up and you will actually be in vehicle caravans, if you will. So it's drive up and then you can get out. You can lay your own flowers if you have a card, if you have something that you would like to contribute, or you can just go there and visit, perhaps with your children, pass down the lessons that we've heard today during the ceremony. So again, if all day today, the general public is invited to go to Upper Tumon over at Two Lovers Point and make your own journey to the 9/11 memorial. And you see there in the background the two twin towers, a replica of them, the two symbols of commerce and of American innovation and ingenuity and of commercial dominance and trade. For decades they stood, and when they ultimately fell, it was such a shocking moment for so many, and the terrible, terrible lives that were lost. You also see flanking those, the replica of them, two coconut trees that Joey Lopez Sr. himself, a former president of the Rotary Club of Northern Guam, he and his sons planted years after the 9/11 memorial up at Two Lovers Point was erected, and they continue to stand and they flank the 9/11 memorial. And they said that's a very, very fitting tribute there. And also, you will be able to see, if you go there, again, open to the public starting at 10 a.m. today until closing. There's also a Laddie Stone in the bottom, right near the replica of the World Trade Center, symbolizing the foundation of our culture as Chamorros, of family, of respect, of pride, and of dedication. So there you see that beautiful shot. And of course, you see the 5 wreaths that were laid when the ceremony started, very, very symbolically. Each of them representing a different group and different community that now, 20 years after the terrorism attacks, continue to remember. I'm going through some of your comments right now, so if you guys have any questions, I'd try my very best to answer them for you. Yeah, and thank you for those of you who have very candidly shared your own memories. Obviously very, very hard to talk about at this time. We've got a series of interviews too. Some of the people that you heard taking part in this morning's ceremony, some of the past presidents of the Rotary Club of Northern Guam, Ed Cruz, who gave the opening ceremony, I spoke with him. Those are going to be on our YouTube channel in about a half hour. And Ed Cruz, the past president, was instrumental in erecting this very beautiful memorial, as Hermie Keha, again, himself a past president, is giving you the brilliant camera work. So thanks, Hermie. Let me get a tight shot of you guys.
Oh, wow. Wow.
All right.
Yeah.
And there are...
Well, what's her last name? Arga.
That's right. So there are the five wreaths that were laid. Oops, okay, so okay, Hermie, if you can tell. Okay, thank you. So the Rotary Club of Northern Guam, there is the first wreath. Hermie, I'm going to mute your audio just for a minute because I'm getting some wind shear. Don't want to compete with audio time. So there we go. Okay, so there is the second wreath for the Twin Towers, and again, very, very moving ceremony, very, very emotional symbolism of remembering. So the third wreath symbolizing for the Pentagon. Of course, the Pentagon was under attack later on that morning. This all happened about maybe 11 p.m. Guam time, but again, 8:46 a.m. in the morning in New York City. There, of course, Pennsylvania United Airlines Flight 93. During, as they said in the keynote speech, so many Americans, men, women, and children lost their lives when the flight hit the first tower. And very symbolically, a wreath with white roses symbolizing peace. Just let that image kind of sink in, ladies and gentlemen. So again, this is something that, you know, as Guamanians and as Americans, you should experience with yourself, with your children, even if just by yourself. I mean, you don't necessarily have to go there and leave something. You're more than welcome to. And again, open to the public starting at 10 a.m. today. And you can see the Rotary community, the credo there. Thanks, Hermie. So respect for cultural diversity and much more, keeping in line with our island culture. And you can see there are members of still many of the dignitaries who continue to be there. And that, I believe, is the representative from the airlines union who along with some other members, oops. Okay, so once again, Two Lovers Point will be open to the community at large starting at 10 a.m. today. If you would like to go and make your own journey to the 9/11 Memorial, it's in Upper Tumon. Of course, Two Lovers Point, again, I've said throughout this morning's live stream, means so much to our own community, our own culture. There we go, there's a shot. Okay, so once again, 10 a.m. if you would like to go there, and in keeping in line, once again, with the healthcare restrictions that we continue to be under, as our island is unfortunately experiencing a surge due to the Delta variant. There will be 25 people allowed inside the park at Two Lovers Point at a time, but starting at 10 a.m. Throughout closing today. So it's not like everybody's got to go within the next hour. There's a lot of time where you can go there, space everybody out. Everybody will be allowed to line up and basically make a vehicle queue outside the park, but then they'll take 25 people at a time. If you would like to participate in today's 9/11 memorial in your own way, and that kind of is the point. It's a very, very personal experience. Certainly everybody's got memories of 9/11. And once again, thank you and Dunkaluna Sidus Masi to the members of the Guam Fire Department who had their motorcade of lights. They started out at the Istumbo Fire Station up in Dededo, turned on turned on their lights, and then had a motorcade with, you saw fire engines, there was an ambulance, some of the emergency response vehicles that GFD always rolls out with, and they went from Estumbo. That's about maybe a 3 to 4 mile trek. Doesn't seem geographically that far, but very, very symbolic for those of you who actually saw. And a gentleman waving hi. Good morning, half a day. And so GFD went there. GPD, of course, the police department was also in attendance, as they always are, honoring their brothers in the NYPD. Okay, so I'm gonna actually ask Hermie, who continues to work the camera. Hermie, I'm gonna if you can unmute your mic. Got a couple questions for you before we wrap up with today's ceremony. Hermie, if you can hear me, let me send him a little nudge to unmute his mic.
Okay, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, hi, Hermie. Hermie, first of all, thank you for the imagery. But you know, as they say, you know, it's so cliche, but you know, a picture tells 1,000 words, and you know, like the images that you captured were very, very stirring and everything. But what was the emotion, if you can, you know, break it down for us, for those in attendance there, as you know, as the wreaths were laid, as the speeches were presented,
You know,
as the bell was tolled.
When the anthems were being sung, I couldn't help it. There were just chills going through my entire body. I mean, I remembering and just trying to, you know, imagine what it was like for all those who were in the Twin Towers. And the reason why I share those emotions is because when I was a student and I had studied in the Northeast, I had gone up to the Twin Towers several times, you know, even to the observation deck, you know, on one of the towers. And I can't imagine, I can't fathom what it was like for all those who perished in that building and trying to get out of there, you know. So my heart just, you know, just bleeds and just goes out to all those families who lost loved ones and friends and families and just so forth. So yeah, that was very moving for me as the anthem, and especially our Chamorro anthem. You know, what was beautiful was the flag of Guam was just waving beautifully as we had a nice breeze come through. The flag of Guam and the United States flag were both flowing beautifully, and it just reminds me of how great a nation we have, you know, and how resilient this country is, you know. And for us as Rotarians, especially the Rotarians of Northern Guam, this is such a moment, a special moment for us as a club, because we wanted to establish Guam as a Rotary Peace Island, and this was even before 9/11, before 2001. But you know, when the 9/11 tragedy occurred, it just made sense for us to, you know, just to transform this peace memorial and commemorate, you know, those who died on 9/11. So that's why annually we have this wreath laying ceremony on 9/11. And again, I gotta thank you and your staff for live streaming this event. This obviously is gonna be viewed all over, not just beyond Guam, but beyond our shores, right? And we hope that you know, we're able to share, you know, just the tribute and the commemoration of all those who passed away, especially our frontliners, the first responders. As you see, they were well represented here in Guam. So again, it's just overall, God has blessed us with a beautiful day to commemorate this tragedy, you know, that occurred 20 years ago. But more importantly, we come here to pray for peace. You know, as we know, we live in a world where there's just so much strife and conflict and division, and I
really appreciated, Hermie, how when the first wreath was laid, how they had members of, you know, it was the governor and lieutenant governor, along with members of the military and members of the business community and civil servants, and they all in unison and in unity, they laid that first wreath, and they said specifically it was symbolizing, you know, our universal belief, and the fact that we will go to any length to defend peace and everything. And I thought that was amazing gesture and something that won't be forgotten.
And as the saying
Can I
goes,
ju-
we will never forget. We will
Absolutely.
never
Can I just ask you, Hermie, as we wrap up here, and thank you to you and your fellow Rotarians for making such a wonderful event possible. Can I ask you to get a shot of the Laddie Stone that adorns the memorial? Because it was designed with the foundation. That was the very first piece that was erected when this memorial was put together in '04.
Yeah, so the black marble is part of the laddie, right? So we've got, I don't know, can you see that? Right, it's
Yep.
so it's behind the wreath, right? So it becomes like for our memorial, and then wedged in between the laddie would be the Twin Towers. So you can see how that is, right?
And that's just so perfectly symbolic of our islands, our gratitude to the
Right.
United States and our devotion to the country that we certainly call, they are our fellow countrymen as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Just look how
Hermie, so
beautifully
from all of us
flag-
at KUM, thank you so much. And I'd like to give you, the parting shot on behalf of all Rotarians and everybody there at today's ceremony.
Well, Don Paluna, Sus Masi to KUM. Thank you so much, Jason, for live streaming this event. Adios, and God bless our nation. God bless Guam.
All right. Thank you, everybody. That concludes this morning's live stream. Once again, the park is open starting at 10 a.m. in about maybe 10 minutes. So you and your family can go there. Again, 25 people will be allowed inside the park at a time. You'll be asked to stay in your car until you get, it's a drive around until you get to the actual memorial. And then, with masks on and staying socially distant 6 feet apart, you can go to the memorial and you can pay your own respects there. Also, I have a programming announcement for you on KUAM TV tonight, both on KUAM TV 11 and on KUAM TV 8. We will have specials from CBS and NBC, respectfully, covering 20 years of memories and reflections on 9/11. So from all of us here at KUAM and a grateful island on the 20th anniversary of the September 11th, 2001 attacks, I'm Jason Salas saying goodbye, see you, and have a wonderful week.
Man, you really,